Hi there, friend. I'm so glad you're here. Today's story is a little silly, a little sweet, and full of warmth. Whether you're a kid, teen, or grown-up, this tale is meant to feel like a comfy sweater and a cup of tea on a rainy afternoon. Let's settle in and begin. The story takes place in a small town called Honeybridge. It was the kind of place with cobbled streets, ivy-covered stone walls, and window boxes overflowing with petunias. The air always smelled faintly of sugar from the nearby bakery, and everyone walked a little slower, like they didn't want to miss anything beautiful. Our main character, Emma, had just moved into the attic apartment above Miss Lillian's flower shop. Emma was quiet, gentle, and loved things that didn't make too much noise as soft music, watercolor paints, and herbal tea. She'd recently started working at the Honeybridge Library, where she spent her days shelving books and recommending her favorite cozy reads. The attic apartment was perfect for her. It had a sloped ceiling, pale yellow curtains, and windows that opened to the scent of roses. There was even a tiny reading nook tucked under the eaves with cushions sewn by Miss Lillian herself. But there was one small thing Emma hadn't expected. Her new housemate. Not a roommate exactly. More like a neighbor who shared the house. His name was Theo, and he lived in the room at the other end of the attic. And, well, Theo was a bit odd. He wore mismatched socks on purpose. He kept a collection of vintage cuckoo clocks each, one set to a different time zone. He sang opera to his plants, and sometimes, in the middle of the night, he would walk down the hallway narrating out loud like he was in a mystery novel. The suspect was last seen near the kettle, he once whispered dramatically at 2 a.m. The tea leaves. Suspicious. Emma wasn't used to people like Theo. At first, she tiptoed around him, unsure of what to say. But the house was small, and Theo was very, very noticeable. One morning, she found a hand-drawn sign taped to the kitchen cupboard. It read, "Beware of the marmalade bandit." Inside the cupboard was a nearly empty jar of orange marmalade and a spoon standing straight up in it. That same day, Theo passed her in the hallway wearing a cape and said, "Justice will be served," probably on toast. Emma didn't know whether to laugh or lock her door, but the next morning, she found a slice of toast on a plate outside her room with a note, "In case the bandit returns, stay strong." That made her smile. Over the weeks, their interactions continued. She'd find sticky notes on her teacups with things like, "This is not a cup, it's a portal to comfort." Or she'd hear him arguing with his plants, "You can't all be named Winston. Someone has to be named Gerald." At first, Emma thought Theo might actually be a little bit, well, crazy, but not in a scary way, in a funny, theatrical, harmless kind of way. Still, it was strange, living with someone so unusual, until one afternoon, when Emma's day went wrong. She spilled tea on her favorite book, the library printer jammed, and someone returned a copy of Wind in the Willows with peanut butter between the pages. She came home feeling small and crumpled, but as she opened her door, she spotted something hanging from her doorknob, a tiny crocheted frog holding a flower. No note, no explanation, just comfort. And suddenly, Emma thought maybe living with someone crazy wasn't so bad after all. Maybe it was exactly what she needed. It had been a few weeks since Emma moved into the attic apartment above Miss Lillian's flower shop. By now, she'd grown used to Theo's unusual habits, the backwards robe he wore on Wednesdays, his fondness for naming clouds, and the dramatic monologues he performed while watering his spider plants. But she still wasn't sure what to make of him. One evening, after closing the library, Emma came home to find the shared hallway glowing with soft, flickering lights. Tiny paper lanterns, shaped like tea bags, hung from the ceiling. Each one was hand-drawn with stars, cats, or quotes like, "Magic is often mistaken for madness." Theo was crouched on the floor in front of the hallway window, assembling what looked like a telescope made from 3 recycled jam jars, a broomstick, and a pair of antique spectacles. Emma blinked. "What is that?" Theo looked up, his eyes bright with excitement. "My stargazing machine? Well, sort of. I call it the Celestial Marmalade Scope. Want to try it?" She hesitated, then smiled. "Only if it shows me actual stars." He adjusted the spoon-shaped lens. It shows you what you imagine the stars to be. Same thing, really. Emma peeked into the contraption and laughed. The view was blurry, upside down, and filled with glitter. I think I see the moon, and a cat holding a balloon. Theo clapped his hands. Then it's working. That night, they sat by the hallway window sipping peppermint tea, while Theo pointed out imaginary constellations. That one's the sleepy duck. And there's the dancing scone. Emma couldn't remember the last time she'd laughed so freely. After that night, things began to shift. Emma found herself looking forward to Theo's antics. He built a weather station on the balcony that only predicted hug storms and cozy wind. He created a chalk mural outside their door that changed daily once. It featured a llama in a monocle riding a unicycle. Emma started to respond. She left notes tucked in library books with jokes only Theo would understand. She baked shortbread shaped like question marks. And one rainy afternoon, she invited him to the reading nook for story time. He brought his own sound effects and wore a crown made of clothespins. I used to think quiet meant safe, Emma confessed to him once, but I think you've shown me that a little chaos can be comforting too. Theo just smiled and gave her a teacup with a tiny paper flag in it. It read, "Welcome to the League of Oddball Homebodies." There was no membership fee, just kindness, a little whimsy, and shared snacks. One Sunday morning, as birds chirped outside and a soft breeze curled through the curtains, Emma woke up to the smell of cinnamon. She wandered into the kitchen and found Theo wearing oven mitts, holding a tray of mismatched muffins. "I tried to make all your favorite flavors," he said, "so I combined them. All of them." Emma took a cautious bite. It was weird and wonderful, like living with Theo. She no longer thought of him as crazy, not really, maybe delightfully strange, but also gentle and generous and endlessly surprising. And Emma had to admit, she didn't miss the days of total quiet anymore. The days were growing cooler, and autumn had painted the town in soft oranges, golds, and warm browns. Emma spent more time in her reading nook now, with thick socks, cinnamon tea, and a stack of well-loved books. Theo, of course, embraced the season in his own way. He wore scarves as belts. He carved pumpkins into teapots. He made cozy emergency kits filled with marshmallows, wool socks, and tiny jars labeled Whimsy Dust. And one day, he taped a note to Emma's door. "Prepare yourself for Operation Slightly Magical, 7:0 p.m. sharp. Wear something you can dance in. Also, possibly a hat." Emma laughed out loud. At exactly 7:0, she stepped out into the hallway wearing a twirly skirt and her mother's knitted beanie. Theo was waiting wearing a cape made of flannel pajamas and holding a lantern made from a pickle jar. He led her up a rickety staircase Emma hadn't noticed before, hidden behind an old curtain. At the top was a small rooftop garden, lit with strings of fairy lights, lanterns in mason jars, and a trail of flower petals. A record player crackled softly nearby, playing gentle jazz. Theo had transformed the rooftop into a secret autumn ballroom. There was apple cider in mismatched teacups, a tiny tray of warm scones, and a guest list of exactly 2. Emma was stunned. "I wanted to say thank you," Theo said, scratching the back of his neck, "for not running away, for laughing at my weirdness, and for making my life a whole lot brighter." Emma smiled so wide her cheeks hurt. "This is the loveliest thing anyone's ever done for me." They danced under the stars, clumsy, happy dancing with lots of twirls and tea breaks. The moon watched quietly as laughter echoed over the rooftops. After the music stopped, they sat together under a plaid blanket. Theo looked up at the sky. "I used to think I didn't belong anywhere, that I was too much, too odd, too messy." Emma nudged him gently. "You're not too much. You're just perfect in your own peculiar way." Theo blinked quickly and smiled. "You too." From that day on, they were no longer just neighbors. They were a team, a mismatched, cozy, beautifully balanced team. Emma found that her world had grown, not with noise, but with joy, with small surprises, with one person who made everything a little more colorful. And whenever anyone asked her what it was like living with someone crazy, Emma would grin and say, "Oh, it's the best. Absolutely the best." And that, dear listener, is the end of our story. Thank you for joining me on this gentle, funny, heartwarming journey. If this tale made you smile, or reminded you that the world is full of unexpected joy, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, and come back soon. There's always another cozy story waiting just like a letter tucked under your teacup. Until next time, stay warm, stay kind, and don't be afraid to live a little weird.